Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Okay, joke. That's not really the official title, but it sounded good. Anyway, so there's been a lot of drama about this game, going back and forth on Twitter, people writing articles about it, the director himself talking and responding to people on Twitter. And to be honest, he hasn't really helped himself. He's actually made things worse. KCD 2's releases in early February. Now, it's already late January. It's January 23rd as of this recording. So, with all this drama and backlash and this going back and forth on Twitter, you have to ask yourself, how much is this going to impact the sales? How much does this drama impact your desire to play this game? So, with all that said, let's take a look and see what actually has occurred that might actually impact the sales of this game come early February. So over here on this article from That Park Place, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, every controversy explained in one explosive timeline. So we're going to skip the whole part where it talks about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and we're going to get to the part where it talks about the second game. It's almost like he's getting it from both sides a little bit. So some of this started when he, or Daniel, the founder of Warhorse Studios, compared the current player count of the original Kingdom Come Deliverance to that of Dragon Age the Veilguard on social media. So you automatically know he's kicking the hornet's nest there. So all the blue hair Karens and everything are going to be going Wee! And attacking Daniel, because that's their, holy, like that's the Ark of the Covenant for them, right? I mean, it checks all the right boxes. Now, it's a flop, but for them, it's like, the chocolate eggs you get on Easter. It's like their sweet stuff. They can't resist it. They got to protect it and eat it and enjoy it. Okay, this is getting a little out of hand here, but anyway, you get my point. So that in and of itself was crazy. It started everything. Now later, why do I still have my headphones on? All right, taking those off. We're not listening to anything. I don't need those on. Anyway. So because of this, people then brought up his whole past, controversies, pointing to his support of Gamergate, and started reigniting those accusations. And, so again, like I said, he's getting it from both sides. All right, you may be asking, both sides? You keep talking about both sides. You're only mentioning one side, though. So what is this whole both sides thing? Well, you're right. So now let's skip forward a little bit and talk about what has actually happened to incur the wrath of the other side. All right. There was news that came out maybe a week or so ago where it seemed like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 would be banned in Saudi Arabia because of some unskippable love scene between two men in the game's story mode. Now, when this was first released, if I remember correctly, it wasn't specific. So people just assumed because, it's Saudi Arabia that it had to be because of some sort of gay scene. Now, a lot of people don't like gay scenes or this type of stuff in their video games, which I can kind of understand on one hand because it's become very political. And then people also recently, over the last 5 to 10 years, I mean, this crap has been shoved down your throat and force fed to you through movies, TV shows, video games, just news. I mean, it's all over the place. Overrepresentation. So people automatically are just sick of it because they just assume that they are not going to be treated as normal individuals. They are going to be treated as some sort of stereotype, and it's going to be shoved in your face where you're constantly reminded that someone's gay. Plus, while a lot of straight people are okay with someone being gay and doing what they may want to do in their own bedroom, they don't want to see it. They don't want it to be, bam, right in their face. I'm sorry, you may not like it, but that is true. This post quickly went viral in the gaming community, with influencers such as Grums, Endymion, Smash JT, Pirate Nation, and others amplifying this story. This sparked widespread debate, with many gamers questioning whether Warhorse Studios had bent the knee to what some critics described as a woke agenda. And look, you can sit here and say, oh, well, being gay is not woke, or putting just because there's gay in the game doesn't make it woke. And look, I understand where you're coming from, and I partially agree with you. The problem is it's become attached to woke. It is part of woke now because those people who are woke and have an agenda to push, well, guess what? Your gay agenda is part of their agenda that they push. So when people see something that's gay, they automatically knee jerk and think, oh, it's woke. Plus, don't forget, I just said, while people may be accepting of it, and they're more than happy to say, yes, go marry who you want, go sleep with who you want, they don't want to see it, nor do they want to partake in it. Okay, so that's part of the issue here. This was especially contentious given Daniel's past and current public stance against pandering and forced diversity. Now, Daniel is the founder, I believe, of Warhorse Studios. However, the lack of an immediate response from Warhorse Studios only fueled further speculation. Many of the alleged screenshots being shared were later proven false and doctored, yet the damage to Warhorse's studio had already begun. The attacks were further amplified by certain individuals who actively spread false rumors, seemingly aiming to harm Warhorse Studios and Daniel personally. And that's the problem with a lot of this stuff that goes viral. You have to be very, very careful what you're spreading. You have to make sure it's verified, because people out there will willingly spread misinformation or disinformation. Now, the difference is misinformation means you're spreading false information unknowingly. Disinformation means you're spreading it intentionally to cause harm. So people are out there that will do this intentionally, and then there's dumb people out there who, well, you don't have to be dumb. I mean, it's anybody can do it. It's hard sometimes to tell real information from false information. So you have to be very careful with this stuff. Eventually, Daniel addressed the rumors directly on X and clarified there are no unskippable cutscenes in our game. Anybody who claims otherwise never played them. Additionally, he denied any ban, stating that we are not nor ever were banned in any country, at least not that we know of. Daniel also refuted claims of pandering to modern agendas, adding, as much as I don't like forced diversity, nobody was forcing us to do anything. We are not forcing anyone to do certain things. KCD is an RPG. You're responsible for your decisions. If you want Henry to try same-sex adventure, feel free. If you don't want to, you don't have to. All affairs are and were in KCD 1 purely optional. The characters are perfectly aware that it was a forbidden sin. Now, look, if this is all he said, this seems fine, right? I don't think there's any issue with this whatsoever. So he further went on to emphasize the game's historical authenticity. Everything displayed corresponds to the morals and social norms of 1403 Bohemia and is only there to make an interesting story, not at all to appeal to a modern audience. Okay, great. This approach highlights Warhorse Studios' commitment to portraying life in medieval Bohemia as accurately as possible. Ironically, this could make Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 one of the first games to authentically portray the challenge and societal stigma surrounding homosexuality during 1403 CE, providing a nuanced look at societal norms and struggles of the time. Really. So, gamers, ask yourself, are you interested in that? I'm not. I just want to play a good game. I don't care to know about how tough gay people had it back in 1403. I'm pretty sure we are all familiar with how tough they probably had it. I mean, it was there, it existed, but it was taboo. You didn't talk about it. It was hidden. And you were probably, stoned or beaten or thrown off rooftops or whatever during that time, hung, burned, I don't care, killed in some form or fashion. If it were to ever come to light, or you were shunned, you lost all your money, who knows? Yeah, we know it was rough. It was rough for a lot of people. Don't really care to be told a history story on how bad gay people had it. I really am not. And I'm sure a lot of normal gamers out there probably aren't interested in that either. They're more interested in having a game that tells a good story that they can get lost into the environment and the world and forget about the real world stuff and just enjoy playing good games with good contents, with good gameplay. And this rides too close to current day modern audience crap. And I think it would honestly, for most people, kill the immersion, because do you really expect them to do it in a way that it's going to be good? I don't. I really don't. A lot of games seem to be incapable of doing that, at least today. Despite the reassurances and confirmations from Daniel about the interactions in KCD 2, there are still those who, despite his response, believe there should be no divisive characters in the game at all. And again, I kind of understand. Anything that ties close to current day politics and the political divisiveness that's going on currently in our society, I I can kind of understand how that would cause a knee jerk. Here's a perfect example. Back in the 70s, 80s, even early 90s, hell, even in the early 2000s with my wife and kids, I think it was with the Wayne brothers, or one of the Wayne brothers. You would have TV shows that had white people, black people. You even had gay people or people who were portrayed to be gay, like oh, what is that? I can't remember the name of the show. God damn it! I see it. It's two people. Anyway, I can't remember the name of it. I have to see if I can find it and post it and put it in the video and post. Anyway, nobody batted an eye at this. They were fine. They watched the TV show if they were interested, or they didn't, right? But today, because of the push and the way they've made diversity political, I mean, hell, you even had our former president, Joe Biden, come out and state he picked his vice president purely because it was a black woman. So because they've made that push, people people have gotten very touchy with anything that might trigger that whole DEI diversity political bullshit type red flag, I guess you could call it. So if you see a black person in a position today, if you see a gay person in a position today, you see some non-white person in a movie or whatever, you can't help but wonder, did they get it because they're the best person for that role, or did their skin color or gender have anything to do with it? And it sucks that you're in that position where you can't just enjoy something. You have to always wonder, is this part of the whole DI crap? Did these people really earn this position? Was there somebody else out there equally qualified but disqualified because they happen to be a white male? Right? I mean, that's the environment that these people built. So unfortunately, that's how a lot of people view things now. And yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. And at least for now, which is also why that pendulum is going to swing way far back. So some people question Daniel's response, stating that he said much without saying anything. They believe his response was merely an attempt to pacify criticism while still maintaining what they perceive to be an agenda-driven game. These critics have also harshly criticized Daniel for replying to an ex-user in the following ways. So this was a recent response, January 15th, 2025, because I don't like talking to Nazi shitheads like you. I mean, he used Nazi. That's a key word that the left uses. So when you're trying to push back against this whole gay agenda thing in your game, using the same terminology and language that that side uses isn't the smartest thing to do. I'm sorry, it's not. So this is why I was talking about. He's making things worse for himself. He should have just stuck with that response and left it alone. This response led some to jump to the conclusion that Daniel, much like others accused of pushing woke propaganda, uses terms like this along with racist and bigot to silence criticism. And that's my point. That's what I was just saying. When you started using that language, that's a flag for people, because there's one side that seems to do that. So Daniel was out there retweeting and tweeting so much, trying to address this criticism directly, or okay, not address, but respond. He ended up stepping in it again when he criticized a YouTuber called Rev Says Dasu, who is a fairly large YouTuber. He's got a nice audience. His videos do really well. He released a video that was actually defending Daniel. And in the title, he used quotations, right? Anytime someone uses quotations, it's like when you use it when you're talking, you do the little quote sign, right? You're like, oh, you're so pretty, or yes, I liked it. Most people understand you're being sarcastic or you don't mean it, right? Or you're just particularly, if you're doing it in writing, you might actually be quoting something, as in you're referring to something. You're not actually saying it yourself, you're referring to something. So Rev actually went to say, another grifter, no, our pre-orders haven't dropped because of backlash. The sold return copies ratio is the same as it was. What happened is that the preview hype was naturally waned and 9 massively discounted games entered the chart. Monster Hunter is down as well. So here's the title from Rev. Woke Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 backlash results in mass pre-order refunds as developer loses trust. Now, you can look at woke's in quotations, right? Because Rev's not calling the game woke. He's referring to what people are saying, right? Other people are calling it woke. Rev responded saying, labeling me a grifter in a video where I defend your game for being labeled woke over a rumored gay scene is wild. Yes, people cancel pre-orders. Many did because you won't address the actions of the community manager's code of conduct posted on Steam. Well, pause right there. Here's what he's referring to. Over on Steam, they updated their community conduct or the code of conduct, right? They got a lot of crap. They claimed that they were banning racism, homophobia, neo-Nazism, right? But they called a lot of crap. And now, surprise, surprise, they are walking back those rules that were put out there by the publisher. Now they're just asking everyone to please be nice. So again, they just keep stepping in it with this. Again, they're using language that a certain side uses to basically try and silence any form of criticism. So when they post this on here, what most people assumed is that they'll do what the other side does. If you criticize something, say on Reddit or what some online platform, well, you'll get banned or that post to get taken down under rules like this. So say, oh, we don't allow racism, we don't allow homophobia, we don't allow discrimination, right? Because they'll call you a racist, a bigot, a misogynist. That's what they do. They try to silence you by insulting you and putting you in a certain category that people aren't part of, but they don't want to be associated with that group either. And so that's what Rev is referring to. Even now, you still avoid the issue entirely. Yes, your game has a lot of pre-orders, but it would have had more if you didn't tiptoe around valid concerns about the actions stemming from your parent company. Seeing you crash out over someone pointing this out is exactly why people are losing trust in you. This incident highlights the irony of the situation, as it appears Daniel himself may have jumped to conclusions, just as others have done towards him in the past. Instead of fully reviewing the video Rev produced, which was intended to defend him, Daniel's reaction caused a rift within his support base. Furthermore, this reaction is significant given comments Daniel recently made during a podcast appearance where he stated that game developers are often intimidated by YouTubers and influencers like Asmongold, Grums, and others. Daniel explained that the criticism these individuals levy against gaming companies, often based on gamer reactions, can have a profound impact on whether a company's latest release succeeds or fails. This dynamic makes his response to Rev particularly notable, as it now seems he may have inadvertently alienated some of the very people who have been supporting him. I can tell you from reading Rev's responses to him, he's basically said he's not going to play or buy this game now. That the way he responded to Rev killed any interest in Rev's desire to play this game. And I can't blame him. I do like the conclusion that this article is starting to come to. It says, it is indeed ironic that Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 managed to escape its own controversies back in the day, only for its sequel to now face new challenges. Interestingly, this time the controversy does not stem from those pushing woke propaganda, but rather from hardline anti-woke critics. This pendulum swing seems to have gone so far that some may have forgot the importance of historical context and portrayal of well-written characters and the proper presentation of social issues from our past. Look, you can't hold it against these anti-woke critics. They started pushing back in an environment where everything was woke. Everything that these people tried to do was pushing in an agenda. They were trying to shove some sort of agenda down these people's throat, whether it be DEI, LGBT, or some sort of political agenda, right? So you have to understand where they're coming from. Everything at that time, everything was a nail, so they became a hammer. Now that they're a hammer, everything is starting to look like a nail. You have to allow enough time to pass for these anti-woke critics to stop being so trigger happy. You have to allow enough time to pass so that these anti-woke critics start to trust and understand what the devs are now doing again. That they're no longer pushing this whole woke DEI type agenda. But until they start trusting the devs again, they're going to be critiquing these devs so much that, yes, you may have some false flags. But like I said before, I know a lot of people say just because they're gay, it's not woke. But you have to understand, most of you normal individuals, while they may support people being able to sleep with who they want to sleep with, marry who they want to marry, they don't want to see it. I know people who are just like that. And I'm sure a lot of your normal people are just like that. When someone sees it in a video game, they may very, very well be critical of it because it's stuff they don't want to see. It's stories they don't care about. They're like, look, You do you. I'm okay with that. But I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to see it. So you have to understand where some of these people are coming from. It's to me, it's as simple as that. That's what a lot of these people online who are calling this game woke, that's why. One, it's tied to the woke agenda. So if you include it in the game, people are going to, it's going to raise a red flag. They're going to have questions about it. Look, if we'd have known about Dion from Final Fantasy 16 to begin with, about him being gay, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would have called it woke. Potentially. Now, I will admit that a lot of people, at least the people who were going to play the game, a lot of people had faith in the people making Final Fantasy 16, Creative Team 3, I believe it was, because they made Final Fantasy 14, which at that time was riding high. It was at its highest point when it comes to the game. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people probably were willing to overlook it because they trusted the developers. Trust in the developer is very crucial for these people. That trust has been broken. So this is what you get until that trust has been rebuilt. So at this point, guys, with everything that's happened, the way Daniel's kind of reacted and responded, I don't know if I'm interested in playing this game. It's just so drama filled. I think I'm like, look, I think I'll stay away from it. I think I will. I think his response has actually killed my desire to play this game. I've got other games that I want to play with my limited time that I can to play games. So that's all I got for you today, guys. Let me know what you think. Has this drama killed your desire to play the game? Do you still plan to play it? And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will talk to you guys next time.